What if I told you that social media, satellite imagery, and open-source tools helped solve some of the world's most high-profile crimes? No secret government access, no hacking, just publicly available information that's been used to track down criminals, expose war crimes, and even solve cold cases. Every photo you post, every comment you make, every location you tag, it's all out there. And in the right hands, that information can be pieced together to paint a pretty damn clear picture of who you are, where you've been, and what you're up to. Welcome to the world of open source intelligence, or OSINT. So, picture this. Russia invades Ukraine, and the whole world is watching. But there's this information war going on, right? Russia's denying everything, saying they're not targeting civilians, but the evidence is piling up. That's where OSINT comes in. You've got groups like Bellingcat, investigative journalists, and regular people using satellite images, social media videos, even intercepted radio chatter to verify what's really going down. They're like digital detectives, piecing together the truth from all these different sources. And it's not just about proving what happened after the fact. They're doing this in real time, tracking troop movements, identifying targets that have been hit, documenting potential war crimes as they're happening. No spies, no secret agents, just people with laptops and an internet connection, exposing the truth about a war. This information is being used in international courts as evidence of war crimes. All right, let's talk about MH17. This was a passenger plane, a Boeing 777, shot down over Ukraine back in 2014. 298 people gone just like that. And of course, everyone's pointing fingers, trying to figure out who was responsible. Russia denied any involvement, said it wasn't them. But then, these OSINT analysts started digging around online. They found photos on social media, pictures of the missile launcher that they believed took down the plane. These OSINT guys, they're like bloodhounds. They analyzed the photos, looked at the background, the shadows, the angles, and figured out exactly where those photos were taken. They geolocated those photos. They pinpointed the location of the missile launcher and then traced it back to a Russian military unit. In 2022, a court ruled that Russia was responsible for the downing of MH17. A big part of that ruling was based on the evidence that these OSINT investigators uncovered. January 6, 2021. The Capitol riot. A dark day for American democracy. Thousands of people stormed the Capitol building, and the whole world watched in shock. But here's the thing. A lot of those rioters documented their own crimes. They were so caught up in the moment, so convinced they were doing the right thing, that they posted photos and videos of themselves on social media. They live-streamed the whole thing. Investigators used facial recognition software, scoured social media for clues, and analyzed metadata from photos and videos. They identified over 1,200 suspects from that day. Many of those suspects were tracked down and arrested, thanks to the digital trail they left behind. It's a reminder that in the age of social media, you're always being watched, even if you think you're anonymous. This is a classic. The Golden State Killer, a serial killer, rapist, and burglar who terrorized California for over a decade. For 40 years, this guy got away with it. The case went cold. Nobody knew who he was. It was like he vanished into thin air. But then, in 2018, everything changed. Investigators had DNA samples from the crime scenes and had this idea. What if they uploaded those samples to one of those genealogy websites? It was a long shot, but it worked. They got a hit. The DNA matched a distant relative of the killer. They traced the family tree, narrowed down the suspects, and finally landed on Joseph D'Angelo, a former police officer. A case that went unsolved for 40 years, cracked wide open because of a DNA sample and a genealogy website. All right, let's talk about ISIS. These guys were notorious for using social media to spread their propaganda. But every time they posted something online, they were also giving away valuable intelligence. OSINT experts were watching. They monitored ISIS accounts, analyzed their photos and videos, and found geolocation data embedded in those files. These ISIS fighters were basically live tweeting their location to the entire world. The intelligence community used that geolocation data to track ISIS movements, target their strongholds, and identify key figures within the organization. OSINT played a crucial role in disrupting their operations and ultimately bringing them down. North Korea, man. The Hermit Kingdom. One of the most secretive, isolated countries in the world. They don't want anyone knowing what they're up to, especially when it comes to their military. But you can't hide everything from the eyes in the sky. Satellites are constantly orbiting the Earth, taking pictures, gathering information, and a lot of that information is publicly available. OSINT analysts can look at those images and see a whole different world. They've used satellite imagery to identify suspected nuclear test sites, missile launch facilities, all sorts of things that North Korea would rather keep secret. It's about understanding their capabilities, their intentions, so we can better prepare for any potential threats. The Wagner Group. They're like this shadowy Russian mercenary group, operating in the shadows, fighting in conflicts all over the world. Ukraine, Syria, Africa, you name it, they've probably been there. These guys, they're not your typical soldiers. They're mercenaries, guns for hire, and they're not exactly known for following the rules. But even mercenaries make mistakes. They get photographed, they post on social media, they leave behind digital footprints. OSINT investigators are experts at following those footprints. They've used satellite imagery to track Wagner movements, identify their bases, and expose their involvement in various conflicts, exposing the activities of these mercenaries, holding them accountable for their actions, even if their own governments won't. We live in a crazy time, man. The internet, it's this amazing tool, but it's also a breeding ground for misinformation, propaganda, all sorts of crazy stuff. Deepfakes, fake news, it's everywhere you look. But just like OSINT can be used to uncover the truth, it can also be used to expose lies. Groups like Graphica and BBC Verify use OSINT techniques to track the spread of fake news, identify the sources of disinformation campaigns, and expose the people behind these operations. They analyze social media accounts, look for patterns in posting behavior, and track the use of bots and fake accounts. They use image forensics to identify manipulated photos and videos. It's a constant battle, but these OSINT investigators are on the front lines, fighting for the truth in the digital age. Alright, this one's heavy, man. Child exploitation. It's a dark, disturbing subject, but it's something we need to talk about. OSINT is not just about catching terrorists and war criminals. It's also being used to rescue children from horrific situations. The internet is a haven for predators, but it also leaves a trail, a digital trail that OSINT investigators can follow. They can track down IP addresses, analyze online forums, and identify and rescue victims of child exploitation. They work closely with law enforcement agencies to bring these criminals to justice. These OSINT investigators are the unsung heroes, working tirelessly to protect children from harm. We've talked about a lot of heavy stuff today, man. War crimes, terrorism, child exploitation. But OSINT, it's not all doom and gloom. It can also be used for good, to reunite families, to bring closure to those who have lost loved ones. Every year, thousands of people go missing. Some of them are runaways, some are victims of foul play, and some, well, they just vanish without a trace. But OSINT is giving hope to families who are searching for answers. OSINT investigators can use social media, public records, even online forums to track down missing persons. They can analyze photos, videos, and social media posts for clues. They can connect with people who might have information about the missing person's whereabouts. It's like putting together a puzzle, piecing together fragments of information to try and find that missing piece. And sometimes, those pieces lead to a happy ending. OSINT is changing the world of criminal investigations and beyond. It's wild, the amount of information that's out there just waiting to be uncovered. It's like this whole other dimension of intelligence gathering, and it's only getting more powerful. So what do you think? Should police be using OSINT more? Should we be doing more to combat disinformation online? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who loves true crime and mind-blowing stories. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay tuned for more.